Alrighty, I just wrote this song. Let's see if I can do it in one take. Here we go. We just got done watching Super, and that is why I am singing this song. Me and Jay are really stoked, and if you disagree, then you are wrong. Now we're gonna tape talk Dragon Ball. Then we'll pleasure ourselves to this. We will stroke it to this intro. Then I will shoot out a giant load all over my keys. Someone please hand me a Kleenex now. 'Cause if this dries, then my chick will think I'm weird. Stroke it, very happy. Jayain dumped a load all over his pizza. He'll throw it away. We are all excited for Super like you.
Yo, dude, I was wondering which song you were going to use. I'm so glad you chose that one.
That's why,
Props.
That's why that one was so hard, because we just heard the song like an hour ago.
Yeah.
For the first time.
That was fantastic. And you got it on the first take, so congratulations.
Oh, that's tough, bro. I'm like Jay-Z. Anyways, welcome to Talk Dragon Ball, and I am Big D, Geekdom 101, whatever the fuck, and we're talking Dragon Ball Super. I'm very, very hyped right now. Like, my heart is still coming out of my chest at the incredibleness that we saw tonight, and I'm going to introduce a very special group of people. You heard several voices there, so let's go through them one by one. First, my regular Talk Dragon Ball partner, non-homosexual partner. Not that there's anything wrong with that. It's legal now in the United States. Super Jayain.
How's it going? Coming at you from Space Australia.
Now, to tilt the scales on this show, literally and figuratively, Mike from Laughingstock Media.
Hey guys, it's Mike here from Laughingstock Media.
The fucking intro, bro. Last but not least, now to even the odds, we have two fat guys, and yes, two people from down under, the legendary ExperGamez.
G'day, friends and folks.
Yes, thank you for joining us, ExperGamez. You're new to our little group here.
I am new, but I'm excited. I'm looking forward to talk about Dragon Ball Super.
Yes, Dragon Ball Super. Now, we all watched it. I wanted to kind of ask you guys, first and foremost, ExperGamez, I'm going to start with you because you're our new guest here. We watched it unsubbed. Did you have any trouble? I know that obviously, I don't know if you speak Japanese. I assume that you don't, but did you have any trouble figuring out what was going on? Because for me, I thought it was pretty simple to figure out. Not a complicated storyline. The only thing I still don't really know, and by the time this goes up, maybe we'll have an answer. I don't really know what's up with Goten going after old people's bathwater, but did you have any issues figuring this out?
I mean, when it got to the point where, I read the manga. I read the first chapter of the manga, and that's pretty much all I knew that was in English. But after that, it was like I didn't know what was going on after the fact when Beerus blew up the planet with just his finger, which was badass.
Oh man.
But yeah, dude. But after that, it was pretty self-explanatory. I would have preferred it in sub, obviously, but I'll take whatever. It's Dragon Ball Z. Honestly, the plot was pretty simple. I mean, they were just going around. They were introducing a lot of the characters, which isn't something Dragon Ball Z usually does, which I actually found very interesting that they were doing that. But no, I found the plot very simple. I found it very interesting. I found when Goten and Trunks are fighting off that snake lizard, I found that pretty cool. But yeah, no, at the end of the very first episode, when the Kaioshins were actually looking up and they realized that Beerus was awake, that's when I knew shit got real. That's when I just wanted to keep on watching episode 1, 2, 3, 4 if they obviously had it.
And we have to wait. Now, for those who don't know ExperGamez from my channel, ExperGamez, actually, I did a video with him, and he was talking about how back when he was younger, he was watching Dragon Ball, and he was so addicted. You have to vouch for me and make sure I'm telling the story correct, that you were so addicted that rather than wait for the episodes to air, you actually went out and bought the DVDs so you could marathon them.
Right, dude, that's exactly what I did.
You can't do that here.
8-year-old me.
You can't do that now. Does that bother you?
That does bother me. That pisses me off because, I can't wait. I can't wait every week. I have to have something. And I'm glad that it's happening every week. But I mean, no. I would, if I could, I would marathon it all day. I wouldn't be on this podcast right now. I'd be marathoning on it the whole thing right now.
Well, that kind of breaks my heart, but
Yeah.
In a weird way. We're going to talk about next week's episode with Vegeta and everything. I want to go to Mike next, though. I have a question for you, Mike, about this whole thing. So, your first impressions, just your overall first impressions on watching it, the way that we watched it, and like, does it bug you that, like, are you anticipating episode 2? And really the question I'm trying to ask you is, how do you feel about the slice of life episodes? Because I think we're going to get at least a couple of them before we get to some real action. And now I'll go to Jay.
Yeah, I definitely like this episode. I was a big fan of it. And in a lot of ways, it reminds me of the episode before the time skip in the original Dragon Ball Z, before the 10-year gap that this takes place in, which was He's Always Late with Goku, where he's feeding the pterodactyl babies and stuff. But mostly just the ending, where all their family is together, like all the group after their wars and everything, and they're just hanging out and, just living their lives. It made me feel a lot like that because that's basically what they're doing in this episode for the most part. They're just trying to move on with their lives. Goku kind of is bored with peacetime and he wants to train. And I feel like it's great for character development. It's something that we don't really get to see enough of in the series, especially since there's so many time skips. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I mean, there was a great scene where Goku and Goten were looking off in the distance, kind of like in The Lion King, with Mufasa and Simba looking off. This is our kingdom, with the sun going down. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this episode. I'm not usually the biggest fan of the Goten and Trunks kind of antics, to say the least. But
you've said before that you hate them in the Buu Saga.
Yes, but I really enjoyed it in this one, actually. I thought it was because in small doses, they can be fun. They can have a lot of cool adventures. They can be wacky. And
it was also very heartwarming, too, because they did something for Videl, even though I still don't really understand it.
Yeah, I think it's mostly just because it seemed like Trunks had a flashback and Bulma was talking about, getting cosmetic products. And then, of course, they were like, the man was like, you should get something even better for your skin.
Bath water from old people. I'm going to try that. I'm going to try that in real life.
Yeah, I know. The whole snake thing didn't necessarily make tons of sense because, he'd never be able to hurt them in a million years. But I'm not going to get into the logic of that.
Yeah, no, they would have murdered it in 2 seconds, right?
Oh yeah, but overall, it was a lot of fun. I was only confused at certain parts, like why Boo was angry, and he
was angry because he was hungry and because apparently he's the one who told Mr. Satan you're taking credit for something you didn't do, which would lead to the scene later on where he offers Goku the golden briefcase from Pulp Fiction.
Yeah, that's pretty weird when you think about it too, because the fact that I always thought that Boo was kind of under the impression that everything that they do is a game, so that's their whole reason why he loses to Hercule in the first place.
I don't know who Hercule is, bro. They haven't called him that in 15 years.
Well, old habits die hard.
That's the old Dragon Ball Z. Now, in Kai, do they call him Hercule or they call him Mr. Satan?
Mr. Satan.
In they call him Mr. Satan on the DVD, but not
Nickelodeon.
Yeah, obviously not Nickelodeon.
All right, now Jay, I'm gonna go to you next. Everybody's gotten a chance to talk except for you. So, other than your thoughts, you have a video up on your channel where we talk about this whole thing. But my question to you is this. We saw them reintroduce all the characters. We even saw Piccolo back there creeping like a creep. But no Vegeta. Not till next week. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, obviously, there's a reason for that. We know that Episode 2 is pretty much based around Vegeta. There will still be the other characters in Episode 2, but Episode 2 involves Vegeta. Spoilers for people. If you're already watching this video, though, no one cares. Vegeta takes his family away on a trip, and I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it because there's going to be a lot of character development. You're putting Vegeta as a character in a scenario that he's automatically not comfortable in. He's not usually a family guy. He doesn't spend a lot of time with his family that we see on screen. So I'm really, really excited for this. The first episode for me was it was just an introductory episode. It was very, just basically easing you into how the show was going to go, how the characters are kind of going back into day-to-day life and routine. I actually, in my review, made a mistake, and I said that the Goten and Trunks bought Videl perfume, but that was just because I actually left my computer at that time, so I'm wrong there. But yeah, that's all right. My video's already up. There's nothing I can do about that now. But yeah, I thought all in all it was a very, very good episode. I enjoyed it thoroughly. Obviously, I thought that the best part of the whole episode I watched was actually the opening, and
Well, we're gonna talk
agree
about
with me.
that here in a little bit. Yeah, I want to really get into that.
But yeah, I enjoyed seeing Trunks kicking the shit out of that snake. That was awesome. And yeah, I all in all, I thought it was a very good introduction to a new series, and I'm excited for next week's episode.
The next episode preview looks so awesome because it's Vegeta, and there's this one scene where he's like surrounded by people, and he's like freaking out. It's almost like somebody who's like really antisocial, being surrounded by people, and he just can't stand it. Like that's the kind of stuff that I want. I did a video about it too. That's the kind of stuff that I think, like, honestly, like, and I'm going to go to Mr. Games here in a minute because I have to bring up a point that he made on one of his videos. But it's interesting because to me, like, you know, obviously Super has some big shoes to fill to compete with Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z, right? But if they do this kind of characterization for the series where we're seeing these characters in kind of unique environments like Goku, like, okay, the whole stuff with Goten on the tractor trailer and the Father of the Year Goku letting his son drive a tractor and almost killing himself, like, that is so awesome, dude. Like, why? Like, I almost feel like Toriyama was either holding back or somebody else was holding back. So, Mr. Games, you did a video on your channel which did massive views about what you want to see on Dragon Ball Super, what we need to see in Dragon Ball Super. One of the things that you said in the video was seriousness. Now,
right.
And I'm gonna ask you about that. So, and I totally get where you're coming from, bro. I totally get it. I just wanted to ask you, how do you feel about this kind of comedy and these kind of episodes? Does it bother you, or are you okay with getting them in small doses?
I mean, yeah, like you said, in small doses, it's completely fine. If the whole series was like the first episode, I mean, then I think it would be getting a bit ridiculous. Let's say if we have 5, you know, like the first 5 episodes aren't as serious, but after that, maybe when we see the reveal of Champa or, you know, the female Whis, then stuff gets really serious. Then I think, you know, like, let's bring it back to the Freeza saga when Goku was desperate. You know, there was a sense of desperation. Again, in the Cell saga and the Majin Buu saga, it was desperate. Majin Buu killed the entire Earth's population. That's serious. That's serious stuff. And I really want to see that within Dragon Ball Super, because if we do, it'll bring back, you know, the memories of Dragon Ball Z, which, you know, I'm personally looking forward to see. And, I mean, other than that, I just want to see some really powerful villains that bring upon, like, you know, the universe's doom or something like that.
So this first episode didn't turn you off?
No, not at all, because it's only the first episode. I didn't expect the first episode. I didn't expect it to pull a Dragon Ball Z and, like, have a new villain come to Earth straight away and kill, like, a farmer. You know, that's, like, I didn't expect that. You know, the very first episode of Dragon Ball wasn't completely serious, right? But, you know, it still led into some, you know, great things, and I'm expecting Dragon Ball Super to do that.
Me too. And here's the thing. I'm going to go to Mike next. I know we're doing this little round table here, but one thing that I noticed too is, and also I want to get everybody's thoughts on this one, but the Champa preview, I don't know. I don't know if we're going to see this guy for a while. Like, I'm almost under the belief that because the way they were portrayed in the intro and the way that we've kind of seen them, because Champa was not in this episode whatsoever, I'm curious if maybe they're actually going to hold Champa back until after the Battle of Gods arc. I have this weird feeling that we're not even going to see him for a while. He wasn't in the next episode preview, right?
No, but as to your point, I don't necessarily feel that they're going to wait too long to introduce him. I feel like they might wait a little bit to introduce him to the main characters, but I feel like if they're going to put him immediately in the intro, I feel like at some point they're at least going to start to allude to him, and then maybe he'll actually have some sort of conversation with Beerus. You know, they might even try and do something where he speaks through Whis' staff, like a sort of crystal ball from the other universe. And then he's provoked, or you know, he actually comes to the universe as a result of them becoming gods. I don't feel like it's going to take like 20 episodes or however many episodes, like an entire arc, just for him to actually appear, especially if they're promoting him the way that they are in the actual intro and the trailers that we've seen so far. Like, they must have already animated him coming, and I'm sure that they haven't animated the entire series yet. You know what I mean?
No. But I'm saying, okay, and I'm going to ask Jay. I'm saying I think that they're going to do the events that took place in Battle of Gods, right? They're going to redo them, maybe a little bit longer. And then after Battle of Gods, maybe Beerus goes to sleep, and then Champa shows up. But the thing is that I think a lot of people are assuming that, I think, people are assuming that the Battle of Gods arc is going to be like 10 episodes when it could just be like 4, because the movie's only about an hour and a half, even the extended cut. So they could just cut that down to just 4 episodes. Jay, what do you think?
Yeah, I definitely think Champa's going to make an appearance later in the series. I don't see it being early on. They've got to go through the Battle of Gods area, and then they've got to go through Fakatsu no F. I personally think that Champa is going to show up around Fakatsu no F, if not after Fakatsu no F, just because I think that's when they're going to introduce a major new villain, especially if Toriyama's come out and said this is going to cover the events of, or summarize the events of Battle of Gods and Fakatsu no F. It wouldn't make much sense to introduce a new character like that, because he seems like a major character.
I think he's a lot bigger than we all thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think he's going to be...
right.
I think he's going to be the major character for the entire series.
And I don't think he's going to be a villain. I don't think he's going to be a villain at this point. Nope. I think I think that they're purposely hiding who the villains are going to be, bro. I think they are. So, all right.
The thing that from what you're saying, I'm going to say the thing from what you're saying too is that they all try and show, Champa as being, sort of this evil-looking character. But when we actually look at Beerus, like, he's destroying plants too. He has the same evil grin. So it's very possible that Champa is just like Beerus. He doesn't necessarily have to be evil. He could just be kind of a dick. You know what I mean?
So Mike thinks that Champa's going to be in early, and Jay thinks that Champa's going to be in late. ExperGamez, you are the tiebreaker. What do you think? Gun to your head.
Right. Okay. So the thing is, what is early? What episode is considered early, and what episode is considered late?
I'm just kind of trying to pick your head. Like, when do you think Champa will appear? Do you think he will appear before the Battle of Gods arc? Do you think he'll appear in between the Battle of Gods and Revival of F, or do you think he'll appear after Revival of F?
I'd like to say he'd make an appearance before the Battle of Gods arc, but just showing him. But I don't think that's going to be the case. I think they're going to show him after Battle of Gods. That's just my opinion.
One of the popular theories is that Champa is the catalyst for Vegeta unlocking his SSJ God form. Let's talk about the intro and outro, all right? First of all, the song, I sung at the beginning of this show, my version of it, of course. Much better than I thought. Much, much better. Definitely fitting for Dragon Ball. There's a lot of stuff that we saw in this intro, like a lot of stuff. And I want to get everybody's thoughts on what we saw here. We saw the most intriguing things that we saw is we saw a glimpse of SSJ God Goku, which we already knew we were going to see based on the book that came out, but they really made it seem like he's going to be using that form a lot more. Jump in. Someone.
It's very possible. Like, I feel like they're definitely going to lead into him because, like, let's say that they re-show the events of him getting the God power in Battle of Gods.
And before you keep going, too, there's no Pan yet. So is it going to be Tarble? I'm serious. It could be.
It's very possible that Tarble shows up in the next episode or an episode after that. They're really going to redo the whole everything leading up to Battle of Gods and Fakatsu no F. It's entirely possible that they'll start to show Son Goku and his friends return, because after all, Toriyama did come up with the original draft of that Jump special.
Yes, he did.
So I always count it as canon, and then they referenced him in Battle of Gods. So I always kind of viewed it as a part of the universe, so it'd be kind of strange.
So you think that episode 2 with Vegeta going out with his family and having all that, you think that the cliffhanger of that episode is going to be Tarble shows up, dun dun dun, and then it's like, and then Bulma's like, wait a minute, you have a brother? And then Trunks is like, wait a minute, I have an uncle? I like that idea, bro. I would totally do that.
Yeah, it depends entirely, too, upon how far in the future this next episode's going to be. Because the fact that also, when does Son Goku and his friends return take place? A year or two after Majin Buu is killed?
It's 2 years after, but they can always change that now. Because I had another idea. What if they show Sorbet sending Abo and Kado to Earth, and then that's going to tie in with Revival of F? See, they could do all these, like, long-term arcs that tie stuff in, like, from the outside in, so everything just feels and flows better.
Absolutely. I mean, that would be a really interesting idea, and it would kind of fill in a little bit of perhaps plot holes that actually do happen with the fact that, there is the Freeza soldiers who become stronger than he was, and, that they go and they're renegades because the Freeza army is destroyed, but then we find out in Fukatsu no F the Freeza army still exists, so it could help to alleviate the plot holes that are kind of dissenting at that point.
And I just so everybody knows, I did do a video about Ryusei Nakao being confirmed to come back for Dragon Ball Super. And when I did the video, it was about a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, we didn't know what he was doing. Now we know for sure it's probably going to be Frieza. Now we know for a fact. Jay, what do you think about Tarble coming in?
I don't have a problem with that. I think it would be awesome. Of course, we don't know exactly when Yo Son Goku and Returns took place exactly, but
yeah, they could always change it.
They could change it, yeah, and I have to say, if they brought Tarble back, I'd be quite happy with that. I like Tarble as a character. It'd be cool to see some development with Vegeta and Tarble, but I think that's kind of wishful thinking. I don't personally think it's going to happen, but that's not to say it won't happen. But yeah, I'm really, really just pumped for the next few episodes. The opening for me was fantastic.
Let's dissect that real quick. Mr. Game, so in the opening, we see Goku and Vegeta fighting guys that are wearing the Frieza armor. Are these characters, and here's what's weird about that, is that we're seeing those little fight scenes after they apparently, we don't know for sure, we see a portal, and then we see Goku and Vegeta walking towards the portal, which many fans, including me, have already thought it's the portal to Universe 6, right? And then we see Beerus, Whis, Champa, and the female Whis, whatever her name is. We still don't know what her name is. And then we see Goku and Vegeta fighting these guys in Frieza armor. Is this a preview of the Revival of F arc, or are these brand new villains, brand new characters from Universe 6?
I like to think that it's from the Freeza arc. I don't like to think that people from Universe 6 are going to be wearing Freeza armor. I like to think they're going to have, new villains with new kind of, suits and outfits. I don't like to think like that. I like to think that's purely from the Freeza saga. But you guys are absolutely blowing my mind right now. Like tying Yo-San Goku and his friends return, in with Dragon Ball Super. That's something I never would have thought of. But you guys are just blowing my mind right now. But yeah, like I said, I do think that the intro when they're fighting the people with their Freeza armor, it is from the Revival of Freeza saga. And when they're walking into the portal, yeah, I would say the only thing that I could say it would be is Universe 6.
And it's weird because that's kind of how I actually pictured it looking. Like, I always pictured the portal looking like that. But we still do. There's so many mysteries. We don't know why they have to go to Universe 6, what the purpose is. Like, we don't know if the 9-Star Dragon Ball thing. See, the thing about the 9-Star Dragon Ball, to where I think it's not a mistake, is that those magazine covers are always looked over very, very scrutiny. Not scrutiny. What word am I looking for? Very, Mike, you're white. What's the word I'm looking for?
They're looked over very precisely, and they make sure that they actually go out of their way to ensure that every minute detail is in its proper place.
Yeah, so I don't know if that's bullshit, bro. There might actually be a 9-star and 8-star Dragon Ball in Universe 6, but okay. And Jay, so what do you think? Do you think that that's where they're going? And your other impressions that hit you about the intro? I have a couple other points I'm going to bring up, but just your overall impressions on what we talked about: Goku and Vegeta fighting those guys in the Frieza armor. Or your thoughts.
I thought that the intro as a whole was fantastic. It's probably one of the best intros I've seen, if not the best. That's a pretty big statement, but I thought it was that good. It really catches your attention. The interesting points, obviously, was the reveal of Super Saiyan God Goku, which we already knew about. The Vegeta and Goku fighting those troops with the Frieza-style looking armor. That was probably the highlight for me. And then them walking towards that glowing orb in the sky, which we're speculating is a portal. That's pretty cool. And then seeing Champa and I don't know the name of the female version of Whis. I think that's been...
Nobody knows.
Nobody knows that? Yeah, but the female version of Whis, you get to see her as well. It's just kind of cool to see all these characters officially on screen. Super has begun. That's how I felt when I was watching it. It was just, it's here, it's happening. But yeah, some of the highlights for me were probably Super Saiyan God Goku and Vegeta and Goku fighting those soldiers. That was pretty cool.
It was literally a damn religious experience for me, bro, because I was just kind of just blown away, like, the shit that we're seeing. That clip, here's the thing I love about the intro, right, is that they show, like, the family life, like, you know, kind of slice of life stuff, like, very fun moments, and then we get to the fights, and then we're seeing all this shit, you know, Beerus, Champa, they're coming down from the heavens, and they're playing the fucking song, and then there's that clip where I've been literally erected at full tent on Twitter and on Facebook at that fucking clip of Goku powering up to SSJ God, and the background's all red. That was the best thing that's the best thing I've ever seen, bro.
It's awesome, like that montagey feel of just seeing the one aspect of his body, the legs, and then it's so great. I did actually have an alternative kind of theory though as to what the portal could be, because I loved all the different elements of the opening as well, including like what you said. That's definitely my favorite part. I feel that there is a possibility that the portal, rather than simply being to go to, say, Universe 6, might instead be the portal for how Goku and Vegeta get to Beerus's world in order to train with Whis. Like, perhaps they're walking into that so they can go on to train with him to become the fully mastered gods, because I didn't get a good look at their armor or what they're wearing, but it didn't seem like it was the Resurrection F garb to me.
No, but I do think we're going to get a second intro very soon where they're going to be wearing the Resurrection F garb and they're going to be having the blue hair. I think this is just the first intro. We're going to get a second slightly tweaked intro. We're going to get it. Just like in Dragon Ball Z and in Dragon Ball where they changed the intro, even though in Dragon Ball, those of you who have the Funimation DVDs, you don't have the second intro. But if you go to YouTube and you look up Dragon Ball Intro 2, you'll see the Piccolo arc intro. But I digress. I think we're going to see all that stuff. But also, like I said on my video a couple days ago about the Dragon Ball Super Guidebook, there is an image of Goku and Vegeta in their Fakatsu no F outfits with Champa there. So that might make me think that Champa might be coming in later. Like I kind of have a feeling that this guy's going to stick around. I don't think he's going to be like the villain of the first arc like some people have speculated.
I doubt it.
So last point before we get out of here, right? About the intro and about everything. Jocko the Galactic Patrolman is there with Mr. Satan. We see Gotenks. We see Goten with sleeveless gi. I don't know what to think about this. Was that an animation mistake? Seeing Jocko, because Jocko was my favorite part of Resurrection F. Seeing Jocko there next to him, and maybe their little comedic kind of back and forth. I'm extremely excited to see what's gonna happen with Jocko the Galactic Patrolman in Dragon Ball Super.
Yeah, it was a really fun moment, and obviously putting Jocko with Mr. Satan could definitely lead to some very comedic elements, especially since, you know, Jocko might kind of be going to this dude. It's like, oh, you're the one who actually was able to fight and beat Majin Buu and Cell, like these two guys that could threaten the universe, right? So you might be able to help us. And he's like, yeah, maybe I will. You know, it might lead to some sort of kind of buddy thing where Hercule's just trying to BS his whole way through it. But maybe that's just a little bit too fan fiction-y for me.
I don't know. Their interaction is going to be awesome. Mr. Games, I'm going to put you on the spot right now, bro. Now,
of course,
on the spot, your top 5 things that you anticipate about Super now after seeing episode 1. Top 5, go.
Top 5, all right. Off the top of my head, well, as you guys were just talking, I was watching I was actually just watching episode 1 again on mute, and I don't know. There's so many things. Well, one, obviously I expect every single universe to be explored in Dragon Ball Super. That's one thing. I mean, I just it's obvious.
I've thought about that too. I think the Universe 6 might only be a little piece of the pie, bro. Honestly.
Yeah, there's 12 universes, and it's like, why wouldn't they explore them? It's like,
you would think it would be like 500 episodes, though. You know what I mean? Like, there's that many universes. But continue.
I expect either Beerus or Champa to die.
Really? Now, do you expect? I like this. I like this kind of talk. Do you expect that maybe? And I've heard this theory from one of my subs. You think that maybe Beerus or Champa dies, and the reason they have to go get the Super Dragon Balls? We know for a fact there's going to be Super Dragon Balls. Is because maybe the dragon can't resurrect Beerus because he's too powerful, so it has to be those Dragon Balls.
Right, yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense. And one thing I've always been thinking, like ever since I saw Battle of Gods, it's like I feel like Vegeta is going to get really pissed off one day and is either going to take his anger out on either Champa or Beerus, and that is going to be the reason one of them die. That's what makes sense to me. That's what I would love to see. Since Vegeta obviously didn't kill anyone in Dragon Ball Z. And Akira Toriyama knows that Vegeta is one of, everyone's favorite character. Well, not everyone's, but he is a favorite character of a lot of people. I've got this feeling that Vegeta is going to either kill Champa or Beerus or someone important. I don't know why I'm thinking that. I can see that happening.
All right, well, before you go to your number 2 and number 1, I was going to ask you, now that Trunks and Goten are here, will we see Trunks and Goten now in the revival of F Saga? Now I feel like there's an opportunity here. Maybe they're finally going to do that whole thing where Freeza sees Trunks and he's like, this motherfucker, why is he so short? Like, I've been thinking about that now, because now they can actually do it right.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well. But to be honest, I don't know if they're going to be retconning Battle of Gods and Revival F to where it's completely different, or if they're just going to keep it, more or less the same.
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. If they do change it, I would like it to be changed a little bit, because if they completely just take Battle of Gods and put it in Dragon Ball Super, I feel that wouldn't be as entertaining. If they change it up a little bit, I think it would be more entertaining for everyone else. But
yeah.
If they did do that, that would be great. I mean, I'd love to see Frieza's reaction to Goten and Trunks.
One more point before you do 2 and 1. I just remembered this, and I'm glad you brought that up. Mike, before we started recording, you brought up a very good point I wanted to bring up real quick before we go back to Expert Games. You brought up the fact that Battle of Gods begins with an explosion. You and I have talked about this off air. Is there a possibility that Battle of Gods is not being retconned like Expert Game says, but maybe Battle of Gods is non-linear? Maybe the scene where we saw the planet blow up actually takes place after Beerus wakes up, and the movie begins with the explosion, and then we go back to where, like Pulp Fiction, we go back to Beerus waking up, and maybe that planet is the one that blew up in this episode.
Yeah, that was the first thing I thought when I actually saw the manga and I saw the final episode, because I specifically remembered when I watched the Battle of Gods Extended Edition. Now, in that, there is a scene at the beginning of the film where we see a planet explode in the heavens, and then it zooms out, and then we see within the godly vision of the Supreme Kais, them see a planet explode, and suddenly they're like, oh no, Beerus, the god of destruction, has awakened. But the thing is, when we watch Battle of Gods, even in the extended edition, what point do we see Beerus destroy a planet? How does that make any sense?
That's what I'm saying.
Well,
so
look at the manga. Look at what's happening in this anime. We see first episode, a planet explodes. So it's very possible that this is actually not in the linear chronological order that we expect it to be, but rather that actually was in a Tarantino.
So the movie started out just being dramatic so that we get an idea of this kind of power, and then we kind of go back. And the beautiful thing about that, bro, is that it kind of does make sense, because it takes Beerus and Whis 20 minutes to get to Earth, right? Isn't that what they said in the movie? So wouldn't people have always asked, why can't Whis do instantaneous movement? Well, maybe he can, but in this particular story, maybe Beerus told him, let's stop by and get something to eat. They go to this planet, and then we have Super. See that? You know what I mean? So that could actually make a lot of sense if they do it like that. Expert Games, back to you, bro. Your top 2 things you're looking forward to now.
Right. I was thinking about this while you guys were talking. Oob, right? I don't know if Oob's going to appear in Dragon Ball Super, but if he did, I don't think that Majin Buu would be around for much longer, because if they did fuse into Majin, I don't want it to be like GT to where he just gets the, that coat around him and he gets a little bit stronger. No, I want Oob, when he fuses with Majin Buu, to not look like a human anymore and not really look like Majin Buu. I'd like him to look like a kind of...
Like Kid Buu.
Fusion. Yeah, a little bit like Kid Buu, but... Not really, you know what I'm saying? Like a black kind of Kid Buu, like that.
So
with
you want
kind of hair and.
So you want him to look like a kid version of like the evil Skinny Buu, right?
Right, kind of, but looking more like a human than a Majin.
Yeah, like Oob, like maybe up. Yeah, okay. I don't know. I can't draw, but I'm picturing it in my head. So that's your number 2.
Maybe they turn into Mr. Popo.
Yeah.
Well, he'll be blue on Nickelodeon, but all right. And then what's your number one?
Number one. That's something I'm still thinking about. I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. There's so many things.
I'll add some stuff in because I haven't spoken for a bit, guys.
Yeah. I was gonna have you close out, Jay, but go ahead.
Yeah, but I'll add that if they do put Yako in, I'll go back to that point, or Jako, they'll have to be very careful because certain characters in Fukatsu no F haven't met Jako before, so they'll have to be very careful with how they use Jako in the new series and who he meets, unless, of course, they are going to retcon some stuff, which is very possible also. As for Oob, I don't know if Oob will make an appearance at all in Super. I personally believe, and I strongly believe, that this series is going to end at the end of Z, but that's just how I feel. Obviously, that is my opinion. It doesn't mean it's right, but yeah, I just feel this is going to end when Goku and Vegeta are at the
tournament,
the Tenkaichi Budokai. Yeah, I feel that's
what I
where
was going to ask you, bro. That was my last question to you, and you just
answered. Well, I feel like that's just basically where the saga is going to end, and the reason being is there's all these universes they can explore in the series, so there's really no. And at this stage of the series, they have these different universes to explore, which is kind of what they're alluding to at this stage. There's really no need for them to go ahead and just retcon GT completely and just eliminate GT from the fandom when they've got all this stuff happening in this time skip. It kind of doesn't make sense because it was supposed to be a peaceful 10-year time skip, but at the same time, if they've got all this stuff that they can kind of work with, they don't need to erase GT at all. Even though some people might want them to, I don't think they are going to completely erase GT or override the GT timeline. That's my opinion.
Well, I always thought, and I want to get ExperGamez thoughts on this before we close out, and his number one. I always thought it would be awesome if, I've said this before to you guys off air, it would be so awesome if, like, Whis is showing them the 12 universes, and then in one of the universes, just in a picture, you're seeing SSJ4 Goku fight Baby, and Goku's like, who's that? And Whis is like, don't worry about it. That would be awesome, dude. That would legitimately make me cream myself. ExperGamez closes out. Well, what's your number one, and what do you think about that?
Right, well, that would be sick, just saying, if that actually happened. But my number one, after a long and hard thought about this, I realized that the perfect number one choice would actually be Broly coming back.
No!
And not just Broly coming back, but having him fuse with Majin Buu, therefore turning him automatically into a Super Saiyan 5. And, I mean, if that happened, then...
Who knows?
Who knows?
Sounds like some Dragon Ball AF shit, man.
This has now become Unreal Entertainment Gaming's channel at this point now.
You
just said.
Wow, banter.
Uh-oh.
No, I'm just kidding. But the perfect number one would be. I mean, I'm still not sure, dude. Anything could happen at this point. But if Goku and Whis, like the Battle of Gods, Goku saw himself in a Super Saiyan 4 form, that would blow my mind. If I saw that, and that's probably gonna be my number one, dude. I'm gonna take that off you and just use that as my number one. That would be awesome if that happened.
I agree. All right, well, this was fun. Thanks everybody. Thank you, ExperGamez. Thanks, Mike and Jay. As always, a pleasure. And we'll come back hopefully next week with some more stuff, and we'll see what happens on Super next week. Subscribe to all these gentlemen's channels if you haven't done that yet, and I'll catch your sorry ass down the road.
And you better subscribe now.